kicks off right now.
We are here, Monster, at the precipice of Game 1 of these group stages, FNCS Major 3. And one thing I got to really talk about and shine is there's 13 teams, even more so players that are looking for their first grand finals. Game 1 starts now. Let's get into it. And this is where the story begins for some of those teams. Some of those players, Monster, over 13 of them are looking to punch their ticket to the grand finals, continue their journey, and start what could be the birth of a new star player on the region.
Has to be, right? And again, very limited set lobby opportunities all season long. You know, these are their, for some, first chances to really go toe-to-toe at a bulk of these draw spots. We saw early glimpses of what little areas will be contested. Most of those opportunities taking place for center map and leaning a little bit north to the west sides. Here, of course, we have a Flooded Frogs fight. Over on the opposite side, you got Liam already taking his kind of battle head-to-head with the opposite trio here, and they haven't gotten shields really to work with. There it is. I was going to say, what are they waiting for? But, of course, have to gather together for those slurp kegs, and now it's game time.
He said quick stat, 55, over half of the lobby, Monster. And resistance base is one of those spots contested. It's not easy to get an advantage. There's a lot of places to sneak around, a lot of nooks and crannies to hide. And Boogeyman quick, they are missing about some HP, but Liam's gonna be the first one to go down in the entire fight. This is not the way you want to start your game 1.
Gotta be careful. That Twin Spire packs a big punch, big damage. You see it now, though. Players jumping into the box. Pay 14, finding his tags, and they collapse quick on the opponents here. Pay gets rewarded with all the eliminations, and just like that, they clean things up here at the resistance base, and the zone's on top of them. This is a perfect start for their kind of initial kickoff. But remember, all that matters is a victory royale, right? You want to punch your way in and out of today's competition to go straight to finals.
Demon's domain, or I mean, the Fortnite community would call it Pollo's domain, Peterbot's domain. This is the contested fight that you know we've been seeing all off season long, but in the group stages, the teams kind of split into their each respective groups. Agers, Pollo, Acorn this time around are going to get it uncontested, and honestly, I don't know if that's good for the rest of the lobby, giving them a ton of time to formulate a plan, loot up, and then they get the extra superhero rank XP from that uncontested Demon's domain drop.
In some ways, it's like, just let it happen. It's inevitable, right? So we'll see them punching their way in and out. We'll have a lot to talk about that trio as we get into the grand finals weekend. But here in the group stages, it's nothing but another day in the office. Got a little fight going down right now, though. This is just outside of that resistance base. Furthermore, west here. Low ground team seems to be a little lost in the action right now. As Amen, not sure where the shots are coming from. Can't keep yourself exposed like that.
You can kind of even see, judging by the loadout, there's some missing bits of utility, some players only having ARs, no shotguns. This is a straight off spawn scrappy fight between these two teams, and timing is of the essence. We already saw the resistance base, the dust settled over there, they're looting up. If they hear this noise, you know as well as I do, Monster, invitation or not, they're like, hey, this is a third-party opportunity. This is for us to get that early game storm surge, so that way we can start to dictate our own game plan rather than kind of forced to fight a team because the storm surge says so.
Things seem to be kind of simmering out here. Both trios likely contemplating of whether or not this is worth taking to the finish line right now. But it's up to the high ground team to go in and make that disengaged decision. For now, they're sitting, looking for opportunity. As Turbulence is just kind of sitting idly, almost signaling to the team like, hey, look, we don't want to even leave from here. You know, you have a chance, run away. We don't gotta end this right now.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you said. The high ground team has the one with basically all the flexibility, all the choices in the world. No one's going to be able to disengage until they say so, but you're seeing a lot of these early game scuffles all around the map, even for some high places, over towards Brutal. Boxcars just on the outskirts. Ford, Mako, Icy, box-to-box hole with another team, and they have one of them separated, and that's why they're trying to pounce, take the 3v1 while they can. And even with the shots coming in, that third party, you see a whole nother team on the eastern side of that Brutal boxcars, because the zone, something you mentioned early on, is pulling in this direction, mainly towards the north. This is going to be a priority position.
Yeah, Mako's trio definitely needing some ammunition. They're going to look to finish up loop here. Should be all she wrote. There it is, the first knock. So Brutal Boxcar trio is forced to retreat. And this is all because of that Eastern team. Had they not put their influence in, I mean, Panda, Luke, and Veno X here, I guess, would have been full finished.
At least they're going to be able to kind of get a little bit of control over towards Brutal Boxcars, but you're seeing how active the game is overall. From Outpost, rotating up to Kappa Kappa, Rise, Aviv, G-Money, just taking the fight to Jargu, Silic, and their trio. Luckily, it looks like one of them might have been able to survive, and that's going to be the saving grace for that team over towards Kappa Kappa that lands there.
Pretty tough, you know, when you got a tier 1 team landing on you, and you're arguably up in that upper echelon of tier 2. Very notable trio fight right there, so unfortunate for them. Aviv, G-Money, and Rise, of course, a team to look out for. Set to do well here. Another team, of course, to look out. Blake Diego, Oliver OG. Season after season, year after year now, Oliver continuing to show up at the final stages. I would, in the past, maybe put this as a team that could be a potential call, but now I think they're a shoo-in.
Yeah, I would agree with that one, especially since they're mainly getting in through a lot of consistency. A lot of these tournaments, they're playing these games in a finals-esque style lobby, even though some of the tournaments, some of the scrims don't necessarily end up like that. They're just staying true to their focus. As you go back on over towards Brutal Boxcars, get a little bit more busy. You just have that shrine boss over here. You get a lot of superhero rank. You get a lot of different loot, ammo, med kits, minis, and the exotic weapon has a chance to drop. That's why you're seeing a lot of the focal point end up in this direction towards Brutal Boxcars, because even if a team isn't necessarily getting it for themselves, they're looking to see what scraps are left behind.
Yeah, but let's be honest, the best way to, of course, earn those hero ranks, you gotta take fights, find your damage. Kind of scrap by, of course, doing all the side objectives, but teams are going to look to fight first, and Mako, Ice, and Void find out the hard way here as Northern lands on him, and Sandman comes from a side angle with 20 here, and they seem to have, I guess, the momentum in their side. Yeah, look at this, Mako down to 10 HP, cut off and finished, and that's the power of the Sprite Dash there. You know, most players try to preserve them, right? You know, you don't want to burn them off too soon, but you play like that, Plenty, of course, showing how to do it, how to get it done.
Yeah, almost like a no-brainer sacrifice. If I use these 2 charges and it gets me an elimination, definitely going to be worth. And that's 20. Northern, Sandman, they land at the Supernova Academy uncontested. So you see, as soon as any team is uncontested towards Supernova Academy, because of that rail that launches you over towards Brutal Boxcars, it inevitably gives you a free shot, a free opportunity to fight the team without them noticing, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Even with 1 elimination, they got full control. But still, all around Brutal Boxcars, you're seeing this, Mad and Monster and their trio just getting these eliminations, cleaning up what is left on these outskirts, and if not for the points, it's for the loot that they weren't able to get early on.
Surprised they don't even see Void there, so he's kind of laying low right now as they've just been hunted down. No breaks given to them. Madden, Liam, and Drizzy was that Eastern team fighting on the mountains. It was just a matter of time before they kind of rotated through, so see what all, of course, resulted from that. Booga, Threats, and Craze. Booga looking to make his, what was that Vivid pointed to at the top of the show? 26th or so FNCS Grand Finals here to come. Very big time for of course, Booga. One of the most consistent year after year, season after season. Just doesn't give up.
Yeah, it's the most in this lobby at 25 currently. Agers is actually going to be the second most with 22, along with Acorn with 22, seeing a lot of experience in this lobby. As the zone pulls and kind of centers up Utopia in the middle, that kind of gives them all the flexibility in the world. They don't have to rotate. They know from the north, the south, and the east, the teams are going to have to rotate into them, so they just kind of set up their triangle surge bases over towards Utopia to get as much of that storm surge as possible. Ishu, Taki, Vert, they land just towards the north, east of that Utopia city. And they typically are going to use this geyser. And instead of just once, because people are wondering right now, Monster, like, why? They're already in the sky. What are they waiting for? You double use this geyser. It gives you extra height. You're able to use it to get farther in towards the zone. So when we tune into them later on, Monster, I expect them to see probably center zone set up, ready to go.
That's one of those techniques carrying over from the last season. So you can see the optimization here coming through. One thing to think about, I know Kelly was hinting at a potential increase in heal-offs, but we also are seeing an increase in teams playing the Storm, right? The Mist form gives you that much more freedom to kind of play around and battle really inside of the zones. I'm thinking we'll see a lot more storm sickness, if anything, come the end game. But give it a second there. Vert, Esho, and Taki on the hunt once again, finding out Liam there. It's going to be one of two left in this trio.
Almost makes you wonder, did they just land on him from that double geyser? Probably so far away from his team. You see it on the western part of the mini-map. They're slowly, surely rotating in. Yep, that's exactly what they did. They landed directly on his surge base while Ishu just shooting him out from underneath. I don't think he stood a chance with the way they did that one.
That might be a little play they're giving away for grand finals right there. I don't know if I'd, run that playbook so soon here in a group stage, but one thing to think about, showing you all the vulnerabilities of playing so far apart from your teammates.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Medmiss, smoke is already down, and this is kind of exactly what you were alluding to, how deep and how long they do fight into the zone. For Broken, Void, King, they kind of need this situation. They didn't necessarily get the most surge to start this game off, even while contested, so now they try to feel forced in this situation to try to fight for it. 2v1, pressuring the box. King is able to get in, landing a good shot and continuing to pressure out, but damage is still there. But it's still a 3v1 monster. The bait and switch, they're making sure that the first point guy going into that box is going to be the most healthy, and that's why Broken is now taking the lead. Charging in, pressure's there, and there goes that full trio down and out.
Excellent pre-fires by BJ, but not enough to hold it down. And what a huge elimination. The first misforms now falling out of their inventory into the hands of Void and company. That's going to be a massive power exchange for them. Looking at Acorn, Pollo, and Ager, seems like you've got full control of things on the other side of the Foxy here. Again, this is about as ideal as it gets right now. Cat material loadout, this natural high ground, and then you see the loadout perfectly situated right now for an end game. So it's all going to come down to fishing for damage here and just staying consistent now.
I'm sitting here looking in the mini map. I'm like, okay, Acorn has the island. You got to imagine they have the medallion. Where is his team? Nobody is on the island with them. They have so much separation. They're covering up so much space in this zone that they're able to kind of do what they want. Agers is on the north side, west of Foxy Floodgates. You got Acorn on the island. Let's go on hunted. Where is Pollo? He's on the other side of Foxy Floodgates on the mountain. So they have the west covered. They have the east covered. And then they have Acorn sitting in the middle, ready to help whoever needs it at any given time. This is just a perfect kind of scenario for what looks like the Major 1 champions.
Yeah, most definitely. And we saw a quick look at everyone's loadout. I mean, they are big chilling for this end game right now. Again, the name of the game for them is just hang out, get a little bit of damage, and I mean, they have full control of the Foxy's entire domain. Here's not too far off, Hound. Lila Larson right now at the Crime City. Lila whiffing a couple shots, but this is a team that already has a trio wipe under their belt.
You kind of see him looking off in the distance. In the minimap, you see that little chest there where one team's already on it. Just north, you see the little green arrows, the second team. They're just kind of waiting for their superhero rank to go up. That's going to unlock the ability for them to open up that chest, get whatever loot that they have, kind of pick and choose if they already have a full loadout. So you're seeing kind of proactive plays coming out from some of these teams, kind of trying to box up and steal the loot, even if they don't have access it with their superhero rank yet.
Superhero rank is going to unlock you a lot of goodies on this end game, but hold up. Mafia already pushing up here. Woods, Minty, and Ski got to be careful right now. This team's looking to full collapse. Very interesting base. I'm not sure I've ever seen a fight start a base like that. We'll find out what the play is here shortly.
Just judging by the low surge, no eliminations. I believe that was the team that lands over the top eastern portion of the map. So instead of using that time to rotate in and get storm surge, they were focusing on that primary position towards the center of the zone. But that kind of leaves a hole in their game plan. So even though they're only 73 above the damage threshold, that can turn in the blink of an eye as soon as the next couple of zones do pull if they don't accumulate damage. Darzi goes Blizzard and Zoom as well, 47 above. It's a small feeling of confidence knowing you're at least not taking damage, but in the back of your mind, you know, I gotta start finding, I gotta start hitting these shots. Otherwise, it's going to be me forced with my back up against the wall just to push the first team we see.
Yeah, got to take accountability if you're not finding the tags that matter. It's the small decisions and opportunities that change your entire Fortnite game experience for sure. Well, let's jump into some action right now. Jargo having Silic here. Have a team on top of them, but one kind of looking, fishing for damage. They just want to get a few tags in, right? Kind of ease up this pressure that's coming from the Storm Surge here shortly for Mikey's trio. And Crackly, they don't want to be too rash either. Kind of waiting for the team to come to them, and it seems like everyone has decided to jump into the blender. Unfolding pretty quickly here. 75 damage above right now. Tries to retreat now for Faux Cake. They want to heal. Kind of forced to right now.
Not necessarily in the worst spot. Moments ago, they were above the damage threshold. Much better than Jargo, Havoc, and Silic, who are 273, which is more than a full shield elimination. Crackly probably looking to take some of their focus, but Jargo used that misform to try to reposition, but he's still trying to go on the offensive. No opportunities for him there, but they're trying to play calm, cool, collected. Even as they're so far down the damage threshold, they're trying to play as calculated as possible because you cannot give any big shots up to any one of these two teams because then it could be all over.
I mean, answer this, Jacob. Can you misform and block a Storm Surge tag? Like, have we seen that tested to some degree?
The timing on that one would be actually pretty safe. I want to say it's possible because I've seen that misform mitigate every single ounce of damage so far, but Hypers loses Faux Cake, and they're still falling below that damage threshold. But with the Outlaw Shotgun, all it takes is one shot to turn the tides of not only the fight, but your damage threshold. But that's not going to come into play this game, at least. That full trio is going to get wiped by Jargo, Silic, and Havoc. They're going to be able to live to tell the tale and hopefully get in his own sooner rather than later.
That's how you handle being below the surge. Well played by them. Very few teams will make it out of that type of situation alive. I mean, you had 3 trios all on top of each other for Smas, Electro, and King Beast. Oh, no. A lot of damage coming through. It's a world of trouble here on the horizon for Smas. Tries to find a tag. This is the crucial one that mattered there, but boxes up the team. Okay, almost got out of there with the tag he needed.
Oh, that was a great play. That was getting him to cancel the med kit. Active Storm Surge. That's exactly what you got to do, Monster, in situations like that. You almost can tell if you're above the damage threshold by like 200, 300, 400, and you know a team is recklessly pushing you as far away from the zone as they have. You kind of get a semblance of, hey, maybe they're low on surge. If we could just survive long enough, that will do the work for us, and that's exactly what just happened.
Rise, VG money now. Outside the safe zone here. Gonna save, forced to kind of make this rotate here and now. A little bit earlier than the other teams to find themselves in better positioning. Comes the rest of the trio now.
Now we're seeing both the dashes being used. You know they have the misform in their back pocket, just kind of combining both methods of rotation to try to make their way in. But just as they reach the end, Pei in a full trio, Booga's trio as well, maybe even one other, all focusing in this direction. Even though they're surviving for now, they are burning through a lot of materials.
Yeah, for sure. You saw for a second there, Rise switched that med miss in case things got super dire there, but not forced to use it. That was Threats and Booga's trio kind of kicking off that lobby focus for a second there. Blake Olivero, G Diego find themselves in a zone pull. Not bad at all. A very short distance rotate for them now. You see the marker come out. They're looking to get a piece of that high ground. Look at them. Well positioned above the threshold as far as overall damage is concerned. And no elim. So really just showing that they've manipulated and played this lobby very consistently thus far. Great start to this end game now for them. Agers, Oyo, and Acorn, though, not looking good for the team we hyped up as Agers bails his team out of a terrible situation here. Siphon kicks in for everyone.
Yeah, unfortunately enough. Yeah, that was Dave, Boji, and Jack that just went down. And this is where I'm talking about. Sometimes you may think you're safe, but somebody's creeping around any one of these walls can turn that one. Booga threat sprays. They wasted no time trying to get into zone. They used a combination of those dashes that we saw, and as soon as they reach the edge, they're just looking back, trying to hold out every single one of these teams, and you're seeing exactly why. They're barely above that damage threshold, and so they're focusing any single person that they can.
And you can see that, you know, again, they're only a B rank at best, right? So not too much, you know, opportunity for them to really hit those hero chests and kind of get the big misforms and kind of those upgrades. So we'll see how they play with their more or less scrappy loot. For Bila, TK, and Larson, though, it's looking pretty tight here. They've got options and opportunities. Fights breaking down all on the outskirts of VG, Money, and Rise continuing to push aggressively here through their rotate. They haven't caught a break. These teams that have landed on them, but defense looking very, very well. Misform. Might be time to pull that out. I was going to say you don't want to be in between all these boxes. Smart play for Aviv there.
Basically in an island rotating through that one, all the way from Outpost Enclave as well. They got to have one of the farthest rotations in the lobby so far, and to be able to find this much success, hopefully it doesn't run out, because another far pull. Almost the entirety of this lobby has to rotate all the way towards Shining Shafts from the east to the west, and that's where you're hoping you have some sort of mobility, whether it's the Dash Sprite, the Surf Cube, or that Misform.
Yeah, most teams on the move now. The VG, Money, and Rise, though. My gosh, are they smashing through this lobby right now? Another team falls beneath them, just cracking under pressure here in the end game, recharging up these dashes now. Might be the last of what they had left from the Dash Sprite there. Gretz, Booga, and Craze also ready to kind of go here.
Almost looks like they're waiting for cheeky opportunities like that. Larson getting tagged up as he makes his way towards the zone. Agers continuously looking back, 700 damage above. They're seeing two teams struggle to make their way in, and the Medmus smoke is a huge sign of weakness as Void Blue takes a ton of damage, forced to pause there in his step. He's not even at the zone just yet. Luckily for him, Power is there, but that luck has run out. Forced to abandon. Power getting chipped down. Xander cannot lend a helping hand, or at least not just yet. Jackson is going to get taken down as well. The firing squad from Poyos, Acorn, and Agers claim another one.
Violet, TK, and Larson getting busy here on the outskirts of the zone once again, just opting to stay on these outer edges, wait for teams to kind of come to them for that cheeky damage here. Plenty of time to fight here and now, but no, they're just going to chill out, go and replenish these dashes. Meanwhile, high ground's taking shape right now. Hound, Aiden, and Krillian going to be the first to go ahead and situate up for this end game here. Look at the commitment from the metal right now. So they want to go ahead and hold this high take.
And this could be right now Carillian's first FNCS Grand Finals appearance if they could somehow clutch up a win. Aiden and Hound, they play duos. They have the chemistry. They have the history on their side, and they have the high ground as well. Ninth zone, you got to be careful. That misform could change things at a moment's notice, but 61 below the damage threshold. Threats continuously looking for opportunities from 8 to 44 down to 40. It's just a teeter-totter of emotions running through these players, but it finally slows down as they get 100 above. That's going to be a big find for them. Craze gets the elimination on the 20.
And you saw Misform falls there as well. So here it goes.
Big.
The tier 1 teams now starting to pick up those key items that can really change the endgame dynamic here. Bila, TK, and Larson, though, opting to play the low ground here. So far, this strategy has not gone astray for them. They have played perfect rotations here, but starting to fall behind now. The zone's going to look to condense very, very fast. Hound, Carillion, and Aiden have given themselves a lot of space to the high ground here, trying to avoid the misform. You know, retakes here from trios, but it'd be just a matter of time. Boyo, Acorn, and Ager are starting to cook up here. The last we saw them, they were looking pretty desperate, but they have clawed their way right back into this game right now.
And you're seeing the beauty and action of that Demon's Domain. He's able to get the shield medallion back on up with the big pot 100, but Aviv, G-Money, Rise, they're on the hunt. That's Bylon. They were able to get a knock onto one, but Bylon's just trying to backtrack in towards the zone, give himself some time to work with, especially since now they've been focused out. Time for him to make that decision for TK. Do I get the revive? Do I not? And it looks like he's going to have to continue this one by himself relatively because he's so far away from Byla. I'm not sure they could reunite at this moment.
Here goes a fight for high ground. Oliver, OG, and Diego go for it. Carillion, Hound, and Aiden lose the high ground for a second there. Diego, Blake, and Oliver, the more experienced trio, managed to time it. Hound, the force of the low ground here. So close, yet so far from a victory royale. Now they're gonna have to fight for it for the low ground. G-Money denies that opportunity, though. Carillion falls, Aiden falls. It's all up to Hound. Meanwhile, Pollo, Acorn Dangers, token in hand now, and they're taking full advantage of that misform play, or sorry, med misplay in the zone there. This is all starting to collapse now, Jacob.
This is just a chaotic endgame. Everybody's just getting destroyed by this zone. It went up the mountain, down the side. So if you weren't planning ahead, you're probably back in the lobby watching all this one play out as Hound. He lost his teammates. He lost the high ground, but he gained an opportunity to tell his story here late into the game. Even with Vert getting cleaned up, Aviv, G-Money, Rise, they continue to steamroll through trio after trio here.
I mean, these are big points right now for Pollo, Acorn, and Agers. Kings of the low ground now. Oliver OG and team come down. They're trying to get a piece of the action here, looking to seal up the win here, but no team has really given resistance to Pollo and Acorn down to the low ground. Rise, Aviv, and G-Money, though, starting to fall apart here, playing as a duo, hip to hip right now. It's all going to come down to timing here, and now if they misplay this, they can still lose this game. Oliver OG taking that unfortunate damage from the storm here, but Pollo is cooking on the low ground. Look at them rack up right now.
I was about to say,
Acorn
it's
falls.
basically a 3v3 with a duo left alive, but now there's two duos still running around, but one of them does get taken out. That's Rise. G-Money no more. Agers goes for a play backside of the zone, but he does not find any success there. Scrambling all around. Diego's trying to put the pressure onto Agers. They have heal off, possibility staying high, but Blake goes down, but it's going to be a trade. Agers falls. Oliver OG turns around, gets the elimination. Him, Blake, and Diego have just qualified for the Major 3 finals.
I guess we hyped him up for good reason. We said they were going to be a shoot-in, and hey, Oliver OG flexing what all that hard work and practice can do for you in an FNCS lobby. This is just a kickoff. The win means you go straight to grand finals, and he'll be seeing another with Diego there too. What a game to go in and kick this one off, Jacob.
Yeah, we saw a lot of our heavy hitters playing low ground throughout the course of that game. And there was only 2 teams that even played for height. Diego, Blake, and Oliver OG was the second team, and they were the ones who solidified that victory royale and granted themselves a spot into the Major 3 Grand Final. Zeke, Kelly, Vivid, I know it's only the first game, but what are your thoughts?
Yes, Blake. Yes, Blake. That's what I like. That right there. That's what I like to see. Oh my gosh, they've secured themselves a spot in the grand finals of Major number 3, and they will look to compete for one of the spots going to the global championships. Oh my gosh, looking at Diego's inventory there at the very end, bro, they've got nothing, and they still come out on top. I was scared, guys. I'll admit, I looked over when we swapped to the Pollo POV and then like 15 elims. I was like, well, yeah, that's fine. Game number 1, we could give it to him. And then Blake, Oliver OG, Diego Play said, no, hold on, Zeke. Just wait, just watch.
Yeah, a great high take from them as well, as you were watching right here. Just very clean, very smooth, and it's showcasing just what those capes can do. Oliver OG, Blake, and then Diego just playing the high ground so well, not playing too aggressively. I think a lot of players with these capes like to drop down, try and grab a bunch of refreshes, and we can see how low Diego is on mats here. But they don't fret, they play it smooth and safely, and they know it's a 3v2. Even against the likes of Pollo and Agers, you just have to play patiently, and that's exactly what we saw from this trio.
Incredible timing there for Blake, Oliver, and Diego, right? Usually when we have a meta like this where there's so many mobility items that kind of make it easy for you to go up vertically, kind of contest the high ground, we have to see those high ground teams kind of separate themselves with a bunch of, space between them and the second height. But right there, they slipped up just a little bit. Hound's trio on the high ground got a little bit too close to that second layer, and Blake, Oliver, OG, and Diego instantly took advantage.
Oh man, I cannot wait to see them compete in the finals. It's so sick. Now, of course, I know what you want, more Fortnite action, but first, a short break. When we return, we pick back up with game number 2. So